Hi, Alonda. I can see that you've used the textured paper for your first drawing, and that's fine. But if you are drawing in graphite pencil, you're welcome to use a smooth white paper if you happen to have some on hand. I like to see all of the detail here. The fronds with the little balls at the end, it must be the flowers of whatever sort of tree this is. Lovely job observing closely. I would suggest that you might like to keep your pencil more sharp. Um, Now, in the second drawing, I'm a little bit at a loss. Curiously, this looks like I am looking down on a tree from an upper story window, and maybe there's snow on the ground because the ground is white aside from the shadow of the tree, and it's sort of midday because the tree's shadow is short. Well, I could be all wrong about that. Maybe this is a very small tree. At any rate, I do appreciate the care with which you've drawn it, and I urge you to give more time to the second drawing. Lindsay, this is a nice job of portraying the apple. I like the way that you've changed the direction of your strokes. It makes the apple seem as though it's dimensional, like it's round. I could pick it up and hold it. Now, let's think about a cast shadow. Right now, this apple hovers in the middle of nothingness. Could you create a cast shadow that suggests the ground that the apple sits on? Now, with your second drawing, this appears to be a tree. I would suggest that any of you who are drawing trees might show us where the tree is rooted in the ground. I like the fact that you've carefully portrayed individual branches here. This is the more important of the two drawings. That's to say, it's worth more points, and I'd like to see you spending more time on the second drawing in relation to that. I want to say that while a potted tree might serve as a still life, generally a tree that's out of doors is considered part of a different sort of genre. That would be a landscape drawing. Mike, what beautiful drawings. I can see that these were made with a lot of care and knowing. Undoubtedly, you have a good share of past experience that you bring with you to the class. However, you don't seem to have experience in photography. First of all, make sure that the drawing is evenly lit. The best time to photograph is midday, out of doors, but not in direct sunlight. Bear in mind that in this time we live in, people are more likely to see a photo of your work than the work itself. You know, you can show a digital photo or a printed photo. These might become part of your portfolio or put on a website. Now, when the drawings are fresh, I want you to take a good photo of each of them. Hi Matthew, I can see that you've improved this drawing a great deal in its second version with the cast shadow and the addition of some nice rich darks. I'm pretty sure this is a charcoal drawing, and you were certainly told to draw on charcoal paper. Sometimes the assignments will direct you to make a graphite pencil drawing on that paper, and I think that's what was asked for in this case. I find it's easier to work with charcoal on a larger scale. One thing I might suggest is keeping your charcoal sharp. The second drawing is quite nice. As I've mentioned to other people who have chosen to draw trees, it helps if you can show where the tree is rooted in ground or in its pot. I would suggest that the background need not be all white. Ray, what astonishing care you've taken in drawing this rose. It's really phenomenal. One thing I want you to do is let up on outline. Now that can be hard, although I see it happening in the drawing of the eye. So what you want here with this rose is for no edge to be darker than the shape of value that it bounds. Okay? So the line should only be as dark as the shadow or tone of the area it edges. This is a lovely drawing of an eye. I think it's quite successful. It looks as though it's made on large paper and in charcoal per the instructions. One little thing that I like to mention is that a still life is an inanimate object, which is to say that live people or animals don't really fit the category of still life. You know, the more I look at this, I observe that there's one small detail you might like to address. You might find that the corners of the whites of the eyes grow darker. Jenny, I can see that you've put a lot of heart into these drawings. The drawing of the hibiscus is really beautiful. I would like you to be ready to see the petals on the far side of the flower as being foreshortened. They'll be a little less um, uh, tall, if you will. Now, the tree is a bit hard to judge because it seems as though this drawing wasn't square with your camera when the photo was taken. Adam, the difference between your first drawing of the tulip and the second is just astounding. This is a really unique drawing that you've come up with, and you've obviously observed the shape of the petals and their shading with great care. The second drawing is quite nice. I really couldn't see very much difference between the draft and the final. Hi, Latron. I hope I'm saying your name right. Please correct me if I don't have it just right. These are a couple of very beautiful drawings. I like the way that they work as a pair, as a set, even though it seems that one was drawn in graphite and one was drawn in charcoal per the assignment instructions. I like the way that you are ready to let go of an edge. You will let the edge be so light that it sort of dissipates into the white of the page. Um, I want to take a look at the second drawing, and I'm going to recommend that you listen to again my drafts review for one of the other students who was making a drawing of a plant in a pot. The bottom edge of the pot is further from your eye, and that's to say that it must look curvier than the top edge. Daniel, I think you must have started things with an I as a theme, listening to what I was just telling Ray about an I, or maybe you've already gathered that from something I wrote to you or said in a recording. So, this is a lovely drawing, and I'm admiring especially the corner of the eye. It seems to me that you did a drawing of a shoe as a still life in lieu of the eye. Now, while the eye is subject from nature, the shoe is not. So you're not getting the entire theme right in either of these. However, they are both lovely drawings. Let's take a look at the potted plant. I'm trying to understand what is going on here. Is this a phony potted plant? It seems that the lip of the pot is very thick and the soil, if you will, doesn't look like it's earth. I like the gesture with this small plant, this tree, the way that the branches reach toward the upper right and sort of blow in that direction. Matt, I can see that you've done a good job of lighting your subject, and I wanted to offer applause particularly for the second drawing. I like the way that the undersides of the leaves are shady, and the way the left side of the stem is lighter. Any sort of cylindrical subject that has bands going around it will tell worlds about how the form actually looks. So this was a great subject. Andrew, I can see that you've invested time and care in the creation of these drawings and that you're working with the appropriate media. You know, I'm wondering about where you were when you were drawing